Hey guys! Today we are taking a walk through my entire collection. Recently I've moved some things around and I've added some new plants to my collection, so I thought I would get a basis on how everyone's doing. And although I don't know exactly how many plants I have right now, there's a lot, so let's get into it. So I only have plants in 3 rooms right now. So this room, which is my living room, my office, and my bedroom, because it's wintertime and every other place in my apartment is really cold. But I did want to start off in this room, obviously, because the most plants are in here. And I also grabbed some water to water the plants that are dry along the way. I did hit some of them this morning, but so starting off with what's right in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do have 5 plants in front of me right now, so let's flip the camera. I have my Hoya pubicalis here. This was my first Hoya ever. It's literally trailing up the blinds right now. But if you guys have been following me for a while, I've had this Hoya for years now, and it's never really taken off until now. I've propagated it several times, which is most likely why it has never bloomed for me. Like right now, I'm super obsessed with it. I'm not gonna take it down because the way the macrame is, but this plant is definitely starting to take off as of recently, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna leave it alone because it has some really tiny, tender leaves on there. A lot of the leaves have come out really dark red, almost sun-stressed looking, which I'm really loving. Moving right along, I have this little mixture of mostly Cebu blue pothos, but then there's a little micans leaf in there. I'm not sure why I did that. I think I just had an extra micans laying around, so I just stuck it in here. This is what the actual plant looks like out of the pot, and it looks like everyone's just starting to take off in there. If you see all those little growth points, oh my god, I didn't even know it was this rooted. That's insane. Very exciting because I told you guys in a couple videos, the Cebu blue pothos that we most recently potted up all died. So I'm happy I have this one growing and all the propagations that we recently took as well. Right below that is my Monstera Albo. This is definitely my favorite Albo because it's the most mature. And I just remember when this leaf came out, I was so excited to have this much variegation. I think this was the most variegation I had once I got this leaf, so it's just very monumental. And it's also my first Albo that has a fenestration on it, which is super freaking cool. There was a big fat aerial root that came out right here, but it wasn't quite pointing into the moss pole, so I stuffed some moss right here and filled it up a little bit more, so hopefully it goes into the moss pole. I'm really hoping the next leaf that comes out is fenestrated, so let's keep our fingers crossed. I'll definitely keep you updated on that. Honestly, this pole keeps falling over and it's not that stable. I feel like I'm gonna have to repot this plant soon because it is also drinking water pretty quickly. You can see the water gauge right here, and it's always so low. So I'm having to water it every other day, which I think is a sign that it needs to be repotted. Even though we just repotted this, it's a Monstera, and you guys know they have those big chunky roots. Going back up, I have my Calathea orbifolia. And if you guys remember, this plant died back to 1 leaf. And over the past, I'd say 8 months, it's put out all of these new leaves right here, which is so exciting because I've killed, I think, 2 other Calathea orbifolia in the past. And this is the only one that I've been able to resurrect and bring back to life and get to look even half decent. I really think this plant was dying because it had spider mites, like not for any root rot issue or anything, which I definitely think has been rectified now because I haven't had any issues with it ever since it started growing back properly. One thing that's super cool though is that this huge leaf right here was the first one that grew back after it lost all of its leaves, which is actually massive. And then it didn't put out any more leaves like that. Hopefully we get back to bigger and better leaves. Okay, then we can start over here for the shelf. I have a Monstera Albo that I just propagated. That's why it looks a little bald up there, but I just propagated this. That metal pole back there is actually the grow light that I'm currently doing a giveaway for. So make sure you comment on my last plant choice video if you want to be entered. I am picking 3 winners, so make sure you comment. It does go inside a pot, but like I said, my Monstera that's over there is a little wobbly, so I took it out of that pot, but it's on this moss pole, and I just wanted to document it because when it does start growing again, I am going to be very excited to see the variegation and all of that. So this is what it looks like now. Not too bad for variegation. I've gotten some really white leaves in the past from having even less variegation than this, so I definitely have high hopes for this plant. I'm gonna leave it in the pot even though it's really small. Right now the water level is just a little low for my liking, so I'm just gonna give it a little squirt. That's a little better. And right on the side of it, I have this anthurium that I picked up from Lowe's. And I've never showed you guys this plant because it doesn't look that good. I think this is called an Anthurium superbum. And I kind of just yanked it out of soil and put it into, I think there's leca and pon in here. And then I topped it off with fluval. It doesn't look that good, but I do see some new growth coming. There was a little tiny growth in there. Where is it? There was a little tiny piece of growth in there right here, but it died. But I see back here on this leaf, it looks like there's another piece of growth coming. So hopefully my anthurium doesn't croak on me. So I have this syngonium right here and I've had it for a while. I think I got it at one of my grandma's funerals, which is the only reason why I haven't tossed it, because it's just a crazy looking plant. It very much so needs a repot because it's been in the pot that it's in forever. That's why it's not looking that good. I have this syngonium and I have a pink one, but this one definitely looks the worst and it needs to be repotted ASAP. Usually what I've done in the past with my syngonium, I just chop them up and keep rooting them in water, and then I'll eventually switch them over to a semi-hydro substrate. I haven't decided if I want to propagate this or repot it yet, so it's just been in this pot in limbo for the longest time. Right back here we have my golden pothos. We recently potted up these golden pothos in a video together and they're actually doing really good. I think one of them that we repotted is dying, but this one seems to be taking really well. This is what the root system is looking like, which is very exciting. I think I saw some new growth right there. The white fuzzy roots. This is the only Maranta I have left. I had 3 of these little cups. Threw away all of my Maranta because they were infested with spider mites. And I'm pretty sure this one is too. I'm just gonna sit that down here because she's not, no. Right on the next shelf, I have the Cebu Blue Pothos propagations that we took. I feel like that was just a few days ago or maybe a week ago, but it's only a matter of time before we start seeing roots make their way down. I feel like this prop station in particular roots Cebu Blue Pothos so well. Like I've already had to throw away a few that we put in this one right here, but this one, I swear I never have an issue when I put Cebu Blue Pothos or any plant in here. Ooh, I think this one actually has a little root coming. Yes, oh my God. There's a little root in there. That was really quick, honestly, I told you. This prop station is magical. I have this Hoya pubicalyx here. This is another really stunning Hoya. I love the Hoya pubicalyx. For a while there, I was really in love with the Hoya serpens and the Hoya obovata. But ever since they started taking off, they've really blown me out of the water. But this one is for sale in my Etsy shop, Palace of Propagation. So make sure you check out this one if you want to add a Hoya pubicalyx in your collection. But yeah, this Hoya pubicalyx came from this mother plant right here. So if you get this one, you'll have her baby. How sweet is that? Okay, we're back at the top of the middle shelf. I have a Monstera Albo here that just put out the most variegation that it has on this particular plant, which is so exciting. And look at the stem. Once you have a stem like that, you know you're guaranteed variegation. I am very tempted to chop this plant, especially where it's starting to be more variegated, but I might wait for another leaf to come out. I don't think there's any roots that have surpassed the bottom yet, but we can check. Oh, definitely lied. Oh my God, oh my God. Super freaking cool. I think we potted these up together, so that's cool to see that it took well, because I honestly thought this one wasn't taking well because of how it looks in the inside. I think it needs to be topped off with substrate, but not today and probably not tomorrow either. Look at my Micans. She was looking very distraught when I got her. I think I bought her for $7, and it's because she was in the clearance plant section at Lowe's, but after switching her to semi-hydro, I think she's starting to take off. There was a point where she was starting to take off and then she started to die again, which was very, very annoying, but I kept forgetting to water this plant. She's just a stunner. I remember I wanted this plant so badly. I had a little 2-leaf cutting that I purchased on Etsy in the past, but I finally got my hands on one that I've got to look decent. I just flipped it around so I can show you the root system, because this is another plant that took really well to semi-hydro. Like, look at those beautiful roots down there. That's so exciting to me. When a plant makes its way through the holes, that's when you know that you've made it to a great spot in your transfer. Moving right down, I have my neon pothos propagations here that we took when I first tried fluval. I'm just gonna water it really quick because it's super duper dry. But these are the neon pothos propagations that I took in my trying fluval for the first time video. I think I might have switched them over to fluval in that video, and they have rooted very well ever since. A lot more bushy than it was. And I was gonna put these into my mother plant of my neon pothos, but I think I like these so much that I'm gonna make its own little plant out of these because they're just so cute. I have a little Albo here, very tiny leaves that just started putting out some leaves here. I didn't even notice that this had variegation on it. So tiny, very well rooted. I mean, they're not wrapped around or anything, but that's a chunky root. Right behind are more golden pothos that we potted up recently. Is that a root already? Oh my God. And that's so exciting because like I said, some of them are dying. And then right below, I have these philodendron micans propagations. I took a few propagations from the mother plant a few months ago. I've never had a successful philodendron mican, so just look at all those colors. It's so gorgeous. I love these props so much. But right back down, we have another Albo propagation. I think recently, yes, a new leaf is coming out right there. I recently put this Monstera Albo in the shop. I really didn't want to because it's my only Albo propagation that has half moon leaves. But I have several Monstera Albo now. A lot of them have bigger leaves, so I'm okay with parting with this one. So if you wanted to add a Monstera Albo that's guaranteed variegation, definitely check out Palace of Propagations. Another Albo, this has barely any variegation on it, I think. Let me grab it so I can see. Yeah, there's like no variegation on this one. So he's just hanging out there hoping for a miracle. But I did want to show you my gorgeous anthurium. This little leaf right here just came out. Right now it's in the middle of changing color and sizing up. We also put this plant in fluval in my trying fluval for the first time video. I don't know much about anthurium, but I think it's doing pretty well. If you guys have any tips, leave them down below because I do want bigger leaves. I always see people with these massive anthurium leaves and I want those ASAP. I also have this anthurium right here. It's not doing as well as the other one, but we do have a significant leaf size difference with those two leaves. And it looks like there's some new growth coming as well. I'm really excited to see what this one looks like by the end of the year. Some more Cebu Blue pothos props that we took. No roots yet. Yeah, it doesn't look like any roots yet. A little sun-stressed Hoya obovata that I really need to toss. I always forget to water that little plant. I think this is a Manjula pothos that I've had forever, and it's always just been a little cutting. I don't know why I'm holding on to this plant because it's just a plant I always forget that I have. Even this little one-leaf Scindapsus, I don't see that growing anytime soon because just like the other one, it's wicked dry. This one has a little bit more variegation on it, but not too much. And then on the top shelf of the last row, I just have two more Monstera Albo that are very low variegated. I just chopped this one up here. No variegation on any leaves, but this one. Of this one in moss. This has absolutely no variegation as well. For those ones, I'm just hoping for a miracle because I feel like on the top shelf, there's not much light to get up there, especially being so far from the window. But I'm constantly moving things around, so I'll probably move them to a spot with higher light eventually. I just showed you guys this Hoya obovata in one of my last videos, and it's for sale on my shop. So we'll swoop right down over here onto this little area that I have in front of a window. This is just a quick little overview. Honestly, there's usually more plants over here, but I did spread them out for the purpose of the video. This is the current state of my Hoya Crimson Princess, but the leaves are just so gorgeous. I'm so happy I bought this plant because I remember when I bought it, I came home and I felt like I bought it for no reason, but I'm so happy that I have it. I think I bought it because I heard that it was one of the fastest growing and the most easiest to bloom, but I don't have any peduncles or blooms that I know of as of right now, so I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. My Burl Marks Fantasy that's over a foot tall now. She just put out a new leaf right here, already in the process of putting out another one. You can tell it's not even close to the size of the previous leaves, which has always been an issue for me with this plant. And I really don't want to extend the moss pole because like I said, it's already over a foot tall. So I honestly might end up propagating this plant again. I did chop it right here and it just now put out this leaf. So I'm gonna wait until it grows a few more leaves and then take a chop just so it could be a nice healthy propagation. Here's my Philodendron verrucosum. She looks a little crusty on the lower leaves, like she might have spider mites or something. But this plant, guys, has gotten so tall. It just put out a beautiful leaf and it's in the process of putting out another one. But if I'm being honest, I don't like this plant and the way it looks at all. I think what I really want is bigger leaves on this plant because that's what I started with. And then it grew into what we have now, which is just a lot smaller. Not even any fuzz on the petioles yet. There's a little bit of fuzz on this one right here. So I'm hoping that the next leaves are even more mature. But I do feel like in order to get that, I'm gonna have to extend the moss pole. And if you see, the Burl Marx Fantasy and the Philodendron verrucosum are about the same height, which is tall as hell. So I don't know about that, but I know if I propagate it, it's just gonna result in smaller leaves again. I've never had like great success propagating a Philodendron verrucosum, so we might just have to leave this guy alone. I just showed you guys my Hoya calistophylla in my last video, but I guess I'll grab her again. Oh my god, I forgot she's dripping. Literally one of the coolest plants I've ever owned. Look at how cool this looks. I cannot wait until this is large and in charge and possibly blooming. But what I'm really excited to show you guys are all these little corms that I have growing right now. I don't know if you can tell, but they're sprouting a little bit, which took a while. They've been in this closed container for so long and they just started to sprout. But I definitely think I'm going to be moving these to sphagnum moss soon, so stay tuned for that. Another container that I'm really excited about is this one because that is an Alocasia Jacqueline. That is a corm from my mother plant, this one right here. And then this is the rest of my El Chaco Red that we propagated in a short. I think I showed you guys I had a bulb and then a long stalk coming out. So I cut the bulb off and that completely died. And then I chopped back the stalk and I put it into fluval. And there's a little piece of growth down there. I can't even believe it because I almost tossed this whole thing because nothing was growing. But since they're both growing, I put them together. So right now, this is like my most favorite thing to look at because I have two of my favorite plants growing in here. I have some Hoya Crimson Princess propagations in here that were super, super tiny. I'm surprised they're even as big as they are now because they used to be so small. Just gonna squirt them with some water because they're super dry. They probably need to be repotted soon because I'm noticing I have to water them almost every day, but this is what they look like. Do you see that super tiny leaf coming in? So cute. I have my Alocasia Jacqueline back there. I'm just gonna pop it up to take a look at the roots. Hopefully I don't drop this. Alocasia Jacqueline, a root system. And I also noticed back there's something popping up right there. I did cut off a leaf recently. So right now she only has this leaf right here. But she also has this growth point right here. I cannot wait for a new leaf on this plant. This is a Philodendron mammii that I did recently show you guys, but it's sold out. So this is probably the last time you're gonna see this plant. It's going to a new home as of tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, but also a little bit sad about because it's beautiful. This is another one of my favorite Monstera Albo because the variegation, obviously. Like, look at that. Wow. The only issue that I'm having, everything was going so well until the aerial root grew the opposite way of the moss pole. And I feel like that's a sign that the plant wants to be propagated, but I'm going to try my best to leave this little guy alone. How would I ever get that to go into the moss pole? I'm puzzled. Normally I would just propagate that top cut, but I really want to get a fenestration on this Monstera Albo before I chop it again. So I'm really trying to be patient. This is the top cut Albo propagation that I took the other day from the Albo on my white shelf that we just went through. I did list this on Etsy. Definitely take a look if you're trying to add a Monstera Albo to your collection. I have my Hoya Finlaysonii right here. I did say I was going to put this in a window, which I still am going to do, but I haven't yet. It's only been a few days since I've had this plant. So she's just kind of chilling and getting acclimated to the new environment. Both of these Hoya obovata are on my shop, the ones that I keep down here next to the window. I would keep them for myself, but I've had way too many Hoya obovata over the past few years, so whoever wants them, go get them. I also posted this one in Palace of Propagations. This has so many cuttings in it, so definitely check this one out as well. And then I have this Philodendron mammii propagation. It's from when we propagated my mammii in a short, and it just recently put out this little piece of growth. I'm really excited to see what this turns into. It's going to be beautiful. I just know it. And then I have a Hoya serpens down here, which is not doing that well in my opinion. It has peduncles on it. There's a peduncle right there, and there's 3 more on the plant, but it doesn't look that good. So I've been really contemplating propagating this entire plant like I've done in the past and starting over because honestly that's always fun. The only thing stopping me is that there are peduncles and I do want it to bloom, but I feel like at what cost? So I might be cutting this back soon. We'll just have to see. The leaves just look lifeless and not juicy anymore. And I have 3 plants in self-watering pots here and then a random philodendron birkin up there. This philodendron birkin is actually rooting so well. The roots look so crazy. They're starting to grow upwards. So I probably need to repot this guy soon. Really want some bigger leaves on this guy, but not sure how to get those. And then I just have my Scindapsus potho mixes here. This is my favorite one because I love the Scindapsus. It's so beautiful. There's another type of Scindapsus in there, right there on the second plant, but I'm not sure which one that is. And then we have a pot of golden pothos. Just have a snake plant right there that I've had for years. And then I have a Monstera deliciosa just rooting in some water. We're in my bedroom now, and I just wanted to show you the Hoya pubic calyx and Hoya crimson princess mix I have here. This is so gorgeous. I love this little plant so much. It has been in here for a little while now, and it's put out a lot of growth since I put it in this pot, so I'm thinking it could use a repot soon. Currently, it's putting out this long tendril, so hopefully we get a bloom soon, but who knows? And then turning right this way, I did put up this little shelf here, and I have my Monstera Peru here that I put closest to the light because it could definitely use it. This plant doesn't look as good as I would like it to given how long I've had it, but there has been some new growth coming out ever since I switched it over to this spot, so I'm really excited about that. I have a feeling this plant is gonna take off by the end of the year, so that's gonna be fun to update you on. Right on the side of it is a neon pothos. There's only 2 vines, which is why I wanted to make it fuller, but I'm just gonna leave it as is for now until I repot it. Gorgeous. And then my Cebu blue pothos that we just chopped. I really like it because it's a nice clean cut right there. Really excited to see that grow in again. It was literally touching the floor before, so we did take a good amount off. But those are all the hanging plants that I have in my room on this little shelf. And then right below is my fiddle leaf fig that's just taking off. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know what I started off with this plant. And I'm just so shocked that I have this extra tall fiddle leaf fig now. It is over a foot tall, which is just so amazing. I just have a mother Monstera Albo in here just chilling in the sun. Hopefully we get some more variegation because this is the last leaf that came out and it's giving green, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay, into my office, I just have this Syngonium right here, the pink one that I was telling you about, and then I have this heartleaf philodendron. This is my mother Hoya obovata, which I will never propagate again. I have this Hoya serpens that's doing a lot better than my other one. There she is right there. These leaves are a lot more juicy than the other leaves. They actually look plump. The other leaves look really flattened, and that's obviously not good for a Hoya. But yeah, this is my other little Hoya serpens. Very cute. And then the rest of these plants here are like graveyard plants. This is probably the most exciting prop jar in that area. I have a golden pothos, of course. And then I have some philodendron brandianum in there, along with the Hoya serpens. And I think that's it. But it just started to put out some new growth on the brandiana. But I'm not sure if the Hoya serpens is rooted or not. I'm gonna take it out and look. Oh, it is. I just showed you guys this plant as well. And I said I wanted to take it down, probably repot it and put it back up because it's been in that pot for a long time and I'm pretty sure it's root bound. I do have another one of those right here. This one looks a little better because it's a little newer. It's not as old as the other one. It hasn't been in that pot for as long. Little Scindapsus trivii moonlight that's dying. And then I will just show you my greenhouse and what's in here. I obviously put my Monstera Thai constellation in here along with my brand new Alocasia dragon scale. It's only been a few days, so no differences yet, but I just know from past experiences that my Alocasia dragon scale, they did like humidity, so I did stick her in there. Right up here on this little shelf, I took all the other shelves out of here because my plants are getting taller. I have my brandianum. I just posted a picture of this plant. It's just now starting to take off. You can see the roots down here. Super cool. This plant was dying, so I chopped it up and just stuck it into fluval. I have that little philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy leaf that I accidentally knocked off that I'm trying to reroot, so hopefully that roots. I have not checked on this propagation. This is a philodendron mammii propagation, obviously, and I've never checked to see if there's any roots. Is that a root? That white thing is definitely not a root, but I don't know if you guys can see the red hues here, like right there, and right there. but those are roots. I'm so tempted to take this out of the cup, but I'll wait until we do some plant chores, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed. Down here we have the mammae that we recently put on a moss pole. The roots are nowhere next to the moss, so I think I might switch the moss pole to this different one that I have. But there is a new growth point, and hopefully the roots make their way into the pole. I have my Burl Marks Fantasy here on a plank. I love keeping this plant in the greenhouse because I feel like it makes it easier for the roots to adhere to the plank because they're constantly wet. I recently potted up these philodendron varicosum propagations because I do have this little cup of propagations right here. This is all philodendron varicosum. I had these in a different substrate for the longest time and they never put out any leaves. So I put them in here. I mostly had wet sticks of philodendron varicosum and I put them all in a fluval and they started to sprout. And these ones are just the ones that got the biggest, the quickest, but I did pot them up by themselves. Hopefully they take off because I love a good philodendron varicosum. This plant is just to die for, honestly. Some more philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy back there. Those are definitely the tiniest leaves that I have on any philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy, so he's just chilling back there also hoping for a miracle. We just took these propagations and I pulled them out yesterday. There's no roots yet, so I'm gonna leave them alone, but it's just a bunch of philodendron mammae, which I love to keep in the greenhouse because they love to be wet. There's another mammae back there. I think you guys remember I completely chopped the plant off the substrate to get those props and I have a little leaf in there. I recently posted this for sale in Palace of Propagations, but this one is so gorgeous. This is the one that we did propagate in the short and it just didn't disappoint. This plant I'll never get over. Why does this look like a yellow spot? Right there. But other than that, I have this Burl Marks Fantasy over here. This one has the biggest leaves out of all of my propagations. She is rooting into her moss pole. New growth has turned red because you guys remember when I ripped off the sheath and I was so scared because it was real raw. But yeah, she's doing so well. Look at how gorgeous this leaf is. That finally brings me to the end of today's video. Give me a thumbs up if you watched the whole thing. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until my next video, bye guys.